All right, we're live. Welcome back, everyone. Attorney Craig
Hi.
Silver here today, the farming lawyer, the trucking lawyer. How are you today, Leah?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I am at max capacity for my technological abilities. So we're currently live streaming to TikTok. I got that in front of me here on the iPad,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're live streaming to YouTube on actually three channels, but the farming lawyer is probably the easiest one to find. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to be talking about three crashes today involving tractors, and two of them actually involve semis. So
Mm-hmm.
there's some interesting details here that I think people might be interested in checking out. So we're going to do our best to kind of walk through those crashes. If people have questions or comments or ideas as we're talking about these things, feel free to just throw them in the chat. I'm going to do my best to keep up with TikTok, but if you throw comments over on YouTube, I'll be able to display them on the screen. So, ready to go, Leah?
I'm ready. First
All right.
live. Let's go. Woo.
What's our first crash?
So our first crash is involving a semi-tractor trailer and a farm tractor. So
And where did it happen at?
this was in Clark County, and
Wisconsin, which is up
specifically,
by, it's kind of up by Marshfield area. It's kind of north central Wisconsin. So, and I think this happened just this past fall. I think it was in October of 2025. So, not very long
mm-hmm.
ago.
Yep, just this fall, and it's involving a rear end collision. So the farm tractor was pulling a loaded wagon, and a semi tractor trailer struck it from behind.
Yeah, and it looks like so a few interesting details that I noticed about this. So this was October 5th, 2025,
Mm-hmm.
fall. It happened on a Sunday evening just before 8 o'clock p.m. So I'm guessing it had to have been dark.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find any pictures of this accident, of either the tractor or the semi, which I suspect was because it happened at night, happened in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
By the time the next day rolled around, they had it cleaned up. So I couldn't find
Mm-hmm.
any actual pictures from the crash scene itself, but essentially, tractor pulling a wagon. It doesn't indicate
Mm-hmm.
what kind of wagon, but I'm given the time of year, I'm guessing probably a silage wagon.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're hauling corn, hard to say, but I'm guessing it's a silage wagon. And he's driving down the road, and as he tries
Mm-hmm.
to turn left, a semi rear ends him. Now, I have some questions about that, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and put on the screen over on YouTube. I'm going to put the scene because I think there's some things that can help um, put together some of the pieces a little bit. So let's go to, this is the story. I'm going to go over to the actual Google Maps. So I have Google
Mm-hmm.
Maps pulled up on YouTube, and so they were southbound on Highway 13, both of them. So the tractor and the wagon were ahead of him. It's a
Mm-hmm.
it's a 55 mile per hour zone. It's actually a passing zone. It's a what do we call single yellow line, so
Mm-hmm.
pass in either direction. But they're coming up on an intersection. They're coming up on an intersection of Hickory Road and Draper Road. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see that right there. So that this is where they're coming from. They're both presumably in the right lane. Now it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
explain. Now, like I mentioned before, this is dark, right? This is it's got to be dark. I don't know what the
Mm-hmm.
tractor had in terms of lights on the wagon. If it had
Mm-hmm.
turn signals, a lot of times they don't have turn signals, but hopefully it had some sort of lights, flashers, or whatever. But he's getting ready to make a left turn at this intersection up here, and we'll kind of walk through it. So I'm just going to on YouTube here. I'm going to just kind of work our way up towards the intersection. They're going up, getting closer, and the tractor is going to be turning left from the right side over here to Draper Lane, and somewhere in here is where the crash happened. Now, I can't tell from the police report, and since there's no pictures, I can't tell. Did the semi simply rear end the tractor and wagon? Did it? Because a lot of times, what happens, farmers especially are aware of this. When you're slowing down, especially if you don't have turn signals, vehicles like to try to pass you, right? They try to go around you as you're trying,
Mhm.
especially if you're turning into a, driveway, your farm entrance or a field approach or something like that on the left. You gotta be so very careful, and be watching out for other people so that they don't try to pass you. So it's 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday evening in October,
Mhm.
and this semi rear ends this tractor and wagon, and at somewhere at this intersection here. And unfortunately, uh, what was the injuries of the semi driver? Did he pass away? Do you know?
So yes, the driver of the semi tractor unfortunately passed away at the scene of the crash.
Mhm. Yeah, and it sounds like the guy driving the tractor was injured, but not badly injured.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
fortunately, obviously that could have been a lot worse. Probably helped him that he had a full wagon behind him. That probably
Mhm.
brunt of it. Um, Semis are not really designed for crashes.
Mm.
They're just not. They're cars and pickups. There's crash testing, crash testing and analysis that done. I don't
Mhm.
think that really happens with semis. If you get into a frontal impact with a semi tractor trailer or whatever, it's generally not really good. And the cabs are light. They're usually fiberglass. And
They don't have airbags, I'm assuming?
I don't think so, unless it's newer ones. Maybe the
Mhm.
truckers out there can tell us that, but
Mhm.
it's usually not. And unfortunately, a lot of truckers I see don't wear seatbelts regularly, and so that's a
Yeah.
whole other question. We don't know.
Mhm.
We don't know if the trucker
Mhm.
had a seatbelt on or if it would have made a difference. But that was the that was the situation. So there's a lot of things, going on here that we can probably talk about. And
Mhm.
I haven't looked up to see if there's any, litigation involved. If to my knowledge, there wasn't any criminal charges. I didn't see any when I searched.
Mhm.
But this is a 55 miles per hour zone. There's plenty of visibility in both directions, but you have this
Mhm.
intersection, right? So you have to watch for cars as well as vehicles turning off. So some of the questions that I have is, was the tractor over on the shoulder, or was the
Mm.
tractor in the lane of travel? How fast was he going as he was approaching the intersection? Did he have any blinkers? Things like that. That's kind of important. Um, did he turn suddenly? Did he slow down? What kind of indications was he able to give to vehicles behind him?
Mhm.
Mostly was that semi following. Truckers are supposed to be defensive drivers, right? We're trained in trucking school to be defensive, to watch out for traffic. I don't know if this trucker, if he was familiar with this route,
Mhm.
but you got to be so careful. I mean, it's dangerous trying to pass tractors and wagons, and so I think unless this farmer didn't have lighting or anything like that, I think it's probably going to fall on the trucker's fault here, probably.
Mhm.
Now, if the trucker was employed by someone or had workers' comp insurance, he or his family, I should say, would have a workers' comp claim most likely.
Mhm.
And the farmer, if the farm sounds like the farmer was injured, if it was the
Mhm.
trucker's fault, would have would have a claim against the trucker or the trucking company and their insurance policy. So there's lots of possible ways that this could play out depending on the circumstances. But one of the things I was thinking about as I was watching this is how important it is to have dash cams in your.
Mm.
Um, I have a dash cam. So when I drive semi, I have a dash cam I put in there with me. It's in my car the rest of the time, and I can't think of a better, more important thing you can do to protect yourself from liability, as well as if you're involved in a crash, to show exactly what was going on ahead of you, and more importantly, what was going on inside the cab. So if there was dash cam footage inside the truck, that would hopefully pretty clearly tell us what was going on. And maybe you should put dash cams in your tractors. I don't know. I've never done that, but that might be something to do. A good dash cam's a few $100
Mhm.
in cases like this where there may very well be lots of questions, lots of disputes. about who was at fault, maybe
Yep.
a mixture of fault. Dash cams can make all the difference in the world. Maybe there was some witnesses, we don't know. Anything
Mhm.
else about this crash or questions that you have, Leah?
Question I had was just from this and being so vague, what sort of legal claim or claims do you think specifically could come out of this? Because I was paying attention to um the severity of the injury, so causing death. I was thinking about there could be something there
Yeah,
legally.
yeah. So it all comes down to who is at fault. So setting aside
Mhm.
the workers' comp end of things,
Mhm.
it depends on who is at fault. And if the trucker was at fault, the farmer is going to have a personal injury claim
Mhm.
against the trucker's insurance, right?
Mhm.
The farmer was at fault, or let's say more at fault than the trucker, then the trucker's family is going to have a wrongful death claim. We call that a wrongful death lawsuit,
Mhm.
personal injury claim that you can bring
Mhm.
against the farmer and his insurance. Probably the farmer's uh, farm policy, farm liability
Mm.
policy is going to be the one that's going to, be responsible there. Or it could go both ways. Uh,
Mhm.
Interestingly, like in Wisconsin, we have a comparative fault state, so you can recover as long as you're not more liable than the other side. Um, in theory, I've never really ever really thought this through, but if they were each 50-50 liable, they may actually each be able to recover half their damages from each other. I don't know. That's kind of a law school question I have to figure out. But so
Mhm.
this is one of those things that is, I see a lot of close calls like this. Tractors on
Yeah.
the road, farm machinery, semis. Everyone just has to really be careful out there, protect yourself, and kind of be thinking of other people around you is kind of the important part. So
Mhm. Yeah. So the next case we wanted to talk about
let's
a
before we move on. Before we
mhm.
move on, I see my battery is going to die here on the TikTok feed. Sorry, TikTok. I wanted to see if this will work. So if you guys want to continue following this, just head on over to YouTube, Google, search the Farming Lawyer. I'm live streaming over there. I appreciate you guys joining on TikTok. Next time I'll have a fully charged iPad so we don't have this happen. So thanks everyone for
Yes.
showing up. I'll see if
Thanks
I
for watching. Continue on YouTube.
okay. All right. So what's the second
Back at it. So
crash?
second one.
Yep.
So, this crash was involving a semi and a tractor on Highway 30. So this is in Lynn County,
Iowa.
and this is in Iowa. Yes. So
Mhm.
this is Iowa, one of the 3 states that Craig does practice law in. A
Yep.
reminder for us all.
Yep.
And so there's another theme, like the common theme in all of these cases that we're talking about is this kind of rear end crash. So the truck was reported to have rear ended the tractor, and the tractor was not just a tractor, it was pulling a spreader with it. So, how does the extra farm equipment complicate things?
Well, unlike the crash that we just got done talking about, this was during the day, so
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the issues regarding lighting and stuff like that as
Mm-hmm.
much, right? I mean, you probably should still have warning flashers on,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a whole different thing if you're driving tractors and pulling equipment, pulling wagons during the day versus at night like this first
Mm-hmm.
crash. So and we actually have a picture of this crash. So let me just see if I can pull this one up here. There we go. Bear with me. I'm going to bring it back one. Okay. So let me put this. I'm going to put this one up on the screen here. I'm going to try. All
All
right.
right.
This one is.
Oh, and this took place this was reported from September 3rd, 2025. This was reported.
Correct. So this was
Mm-hmm.
September. So, and you can see here, it happened during the day. I think
Mm-hmm.
the time that I see on here was around 3:00 p.m. This is early September, so plenty of visibility. Looks like a very nice day. And so you can see here, so here's the tractor down in the ditch. It's an older model John Deere.
Mm-hmm.
Can't tell what, looks like it's a 4440 from the picture here. And then so you can see here, so here's the manure spreader back here. And so from what I can gather, so this is heading eastbound on highway, is it Highway 30? Is that what we figured?
It was Highway 30. Yep.
Heading towards Mount Pleasant. And I'll bring up a Google map here in a little bit. Interestingly, this is well, and you can see the semi and trailer in the background there. Fortunately, I don't think anyone was killed in this crash. I think maybe both. I think both were injured actually, but I don't think anyone was seriously injured or killed.
It's reported that the tractor's driver was thrown into the ditch, but the semi driver was not injured.
That's surprising. You know, it looks like it maybe hit on the passenger side of the truck. You know, the semi tractor.
Yeah, I see it kind of crunched in. The cab doesn't look whole.
Yeah. So so basically the tractor is pulling this manure spreader. I can't tell from here whether the manure spreader is full or empty. Maybe it didn't make a difference. You could see some debris down here. You can see broken glass. I think that's glass from the tractor. That silver pipe here, I think that is I think that might be it looks like the exhaust maybe from the tractor. It looks like the
top part.
Like the exhaust was ripped off the tractor. But regardless, so this is so I want to show you now the map where this happened. As far as I can tell, I did my best to piece it together based on the reports. But so this is the highway that it was on. This is from the so this is the first thing I noticed. This is a 65 mile per hour 4-lane road, right? It's not an interstate. So I think on a regular interstate, I don't think you're allowed to drive farm equipment on the road. I'd be surprised if you can. You have to maintain at least 45 miles per hour. But in this case, I'm assuming it was legal for him because you actually have driveways coming off of this road. But I confirmed that it's a 65 mile per hour zone here. And based on the location, I'm pretty confident that the crash happened actually up here, just past this house here, I think. So I don't know where he came out of. If he came out of this driveway but he was heading in this direction, and the accident happened kind of right in this area, from what I can tell, because I confirmed that one of these power poles back here in the distance is in that picture. So somewhere in this area, looks like it's kind of going uphill a little bit, but it's great. Should be plenty of visibility during the day. I'm guessing that the tractor was off on the shoulder. And even if he wasn't, there's obviously a passing lane for that semi over here on the left. So this is kind of the location of that crash. So I'm going to go back. I want to go back to the
crash photo.
Yeah. And so this is kind of the scene. I mean, it sure looks to me, and I would hope that tractor was off here on the shoulder. If the tractor was out here in this lane for some reason at 65, on a 65 mile per hour zone, I'm not sure that's very safe. So as with all of these things, it depends so much on who was where. Was the semi paying attention? It's in the afternoon. People shouldn't have been falling asleep or anything like that. So again, as I said in the last video, this is where dash cams are just so important. It's going to make all the difference here. If it was the trucker's fault or a majority of the trucker's fault, that farmer is going to have a claim against the trucker's insurance company. Or if for some reason the tractor did something, pulled out or something like that in front of this semi, then
Mm-hmm.
the trucker, if he was injured at all, or at least for his property damage, is going to have a claim against the farmer and his insurance policy. So that
Mm-hmm.
was so anyway. Anything else you wanted to talk about, or questions you had about this particular crash?
Yeah, I'm drawn to that like hole in the side of the trailer. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think that could come from? From the spreader? Or like it seems kind of high up.
I'm guessing, if I had to guess, I would say that was made by the cab on the tractor somewhere.
Ah,
Put the tractor up here, and the cab of the tractor is going to be around
like
that height. So
mm-hmm.
um, I mean, it must have been a heck of a collision. I mean, I think it's fair to
Yeah.
say that semi was probably clipping along at a pretty good rate of speed, but
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to say. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's why you have black box data. That's why one of the things that we do when we have trucking accidents is we want to get that black box data as soon as possible. Dash cam footage,
Mm-hmm.
all these, you know, you can see here. There's tire marks over here, debris pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, and one of the things that I think is really important to talk about here, um, for either of these people who are involved in the crash or both,
Mm-hmm.
this is a busy highway. The police want to document it. Maybe they do an investigation. But they also want to get this road opened up, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's why if you're there, get pictures, get video, whatever you can before that stuff gets moved, because if there is a dispute about who is at fault, if there is a question about whose responsibility this is, every little piece of information is important, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I see in the article that the right lane was blocked for about 3 hours. That doesn't seem like enough time to get every single angle and every single aspect of the crash site documented.
Yep, you hope they got everything. But that's why, if of all the types of cases that people can need a lawyer for, these are the ones where, like, I would call a lawyer and try to get an investigator out there while the crash is happening, if at all while the crash is being analyzed and cleaned up, if at all possible. Just because I've just seen cases. I've tried cases where it came down to a particular rubber mark on the road, which vehicle made it,
Wow.
and um, yeah, so that I'm glad it sounds like no one was killed and the trucker
Mm-hmm.
wasn't injured or seriously injured, and I hope the farmer
Mm-hmm.
is doing okay. Sounds like he was an older guy. I think he was 80 or something like that, but
Mm.
he wasn't, super seriously injured. So, anything else
Yeah.
about this one?
No, I think that's it.
What's the next one you got for us?
So the next one is again with this kind of rear-ending situation. So and this is involving a vehicle and a farm tractor. So again with the impact in from the rear, and then unfortunately the SUV, which is the vehicle that was involved in the crash, that driver did pass away at the scene, unfortunately. And this one, some of the conditions are mentioned. So that's the difference between the other two stories, is that this um, mentions dense fog conditions quite a few times.
Where did
And
this happen? I think so.
this was in Polk County,
Wisconsin,
Wisconsin. Yes.
and I believe this one. I think
Says
this is also up in kind of
near
north.
Clear Lake, Wisconsin.
And I think this is also up in kind of north of Eau Claire, in that area.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, the one thing that I noticed right away, other than the fog, was this was at 5:18 a.m., so early in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of September. So I'm confident it was probably pretty dark yet, and the
Mm-hmm.
fog. Um, there's no pictures that we have. I don't have any pictures of that crash, and like I think you
Mhm.
mentioned that the person driving the SUV unfortunately passed away in this crash.
Mhm.
Rear-ended the tractor. Actually, I don't think it indicates whether there was any if he was pulling anything. It doesn't mention a trailer, wagon,
Nope.
or anything like that. So, uh,
Mhm.
so the first thing I thought of was, okay, so now we've got a tractor out on the road at 5:20 a.m. in the dark, foggy
Mhm.
conditions. I hope this tractor had adequate lighting and like a lot of
Mhm.
lighting. If you don't have a lot of lighting, yeah, I think you have to think twice about being out on the road, and even then, I think that's a question. So let's
Yeah, that was my first little note is that we've talked about and you've mentioned in previous episodes how important lighting signaling is on tractors because cars aren't used to driving with them and they need to be extra careful.
that's for sure. So let's pull up the scene because I think we can get a little information about that. So let me uh, which highway? This is
This is Highway 63.
no, nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. Not that one. This one. Got it. Okay. I wonder if I can get that. Let me see if I can get this off the side here. Okay, good. So this is so they said it happened. So it was just into Polk County. So this is highway. This is Gaylord Nelson Highway. Would you say
63.
63? So I just want to turn this around,
Mhm.
and so this image is from June of 2024. So
Mhm.
this is looking south. So the tractor and the SUV. The tractor was ahead. The SUV was behind the tractor, and they're
Mhm.
both heading in the same direction as this white vehicle. And
Yes.
what the reports say, and this here is the county line. So this is a county line between. Well, actually, I think it says.
Oh.
If we go back, which county is it? Let me
Mhm.
go ahead. Let me go ahead a little bit here. We'll find out.
Oh.
St. Croix County. Okay, so this is the boundary between St. Croix County and Polk County. So they're coming through here, and they just said, here you can see the Polk County.
The line.
Yeah, you can see the sign for Polk County right over here. The thing that I notice is, other than the weather conditions, setting
Mhm.
that aside for a second, this is flat highway again. There's a permissible passing in both directions, so there's good visibility, no hills, turns, things like that. And they're driving along somewhere here. Doesn't say exactly where, other than was just into the county line.
Mhm.
And the SUV runs into the back of this tractor at 5:20 a.m. in dense fog.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what we know about that. Um, so I think I already kind of mentioned this a little bit, but again, I would have a dash cam in my car. I dash
Mm.
cam in my car. How long had the tractor been on the road? Did the tractor maybe just pull on there? That would be a question I have. Or had he been on the road for a while? I'm guessing
Yeah.
it wasn't a real long distance, but you don't know. Uh,
Mhm.
so how long was the tractor on the road? How long had this SUV been on the road? What kind of lights were on the back of the tractor?
Yep.
Things like that. Uh,
Speed.
Speed is obviously really important.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially in these conditions with
yep,
reduced visibility.
yep.
Mhm.
So, so this is, I think they said the driver of the tractor was minorly injured, but not
Yeah.
really injured. So
Mhm.
this is again one of those cases where, depending on the facts, depending on what happened exactly, there could be anyone could have a claim here.
Mhm.
Anyone could have a claim here. And like they say, the devil's in the details. So, speed, lights, all that kind of stuff. I think would be really, really important to figuring out who has a claim in this case, if anyone has a claim, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Anything else about that crash that you were wondering about or had questions about? Thoughts like that?
Mm, I mean, let's see. So, would there be any like specific difference you would see between the handling of these um, crashes if it turned into a case between the Iowa location and the Wisconsin location? I know some of the facts are different. The middle story, they didn't pass away, but what do
I,
you see as like initial differences?
yeah, so I think both states are going to have similar standards, reasonable care. Um, maybe maybe one state has a particular um, rule on driving, what kind of lighting you need to have. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
familiar with Wisconsin's rules to know what's required. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of that depends on the age of the tractor. So if it's a newer tractor
Oh.
that came with it, you're expected to keep that maintained.
Mm-hmm.
Lighting and stuff has come a long way on tractors since I was a kid driving around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think, so I think, but setting that aside, I think the analysis is going to be pretty similar. I think really where the difference is going to be is the cases involving a semi, because semi drivers,
Mm-hmm.
we have we have a lot more regulations. We're expected
Mm-hmm.
to be defensive drivers, to be sort of proactively looking for dangers ahead of us, and to be careful and to be maintaining proper distances so we can brake.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the cases involving the semis are probably going to be different than the one where it was a SUV or passenger car running
Mm-hmm.
in the back of a tractor. There isn't really the regulations, I would say, on the tractor, on the farmer, the way that there is on the truck driver. So anytime there's a semi involved, you're automatically kind of dealing with a different set of rules and expectations,
Mm-hmm.
standards that the truck drivers at least have to follow.
Mm-hmm. So I guess as the last point with these three stories, we don't have a lot about cause. We
Mhm.
don't have really a lot about conditions, but what would be some a take home point or a couple take home points for farmers that are driving their tractors with or without loads in the back and also semi drivers?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, if you're driving in rural areas, if you're a car or semi, you've got to be watching for farm equipment. Around here, we have to watch for Amish a lot,
Mm,
but we also have lots of farm equipment we got to be watching for. So you got to be watching for them. Um, I don't know if technically the farmers have the sort of the right of way, but I think there's this sort of expectation that people give farmers and farm equipment
mm-hmm.
plenty of respect and plenty of space. Like I said, in part because you don't expect them to be on the road for a long time, and
Mm-hmm.
you can expect them to turn left or right in front of you without necessarily having a good way to indicate to you, and maybe more
Mm-hmm.
importantly, tractors just don't have mirrors on them the way that semis do to see what's going on behind you. That's probably the
Mm,
thing that people need to understand is track the farmer, especially if you've got a wagon behind you,
mm-hmm.
it it generally makes it not possible to see what's going on behind you. Uh,
I didn't know that.
yeah, you really have essentially no visibility behind you, whereas semi,
Mm,
we have we have plenty of mirrors. Newer ones
mm-hmm.
have active cameras around them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so the tractor driver is sort of at the mercy of the traffic around them.
Mm-hmm.
They still have to exercise reasonable care. They still need to be sensible about when they're driving, where they're
Mm-hmm.
driving, and lights. But at the end of the day, they just don't have the um, protections for themselves the way that the rest of us do, whether we're in a car, semi, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good points. Thank you, Craig.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I think that kind of wraps that up. If people have questions about any of that, and I hope that these are not easy things to talk about. People were injured. Some people lost their lives in these crashes. So we certainly want to be sensitive to that. But these are learning lessons.
Yeah.
For everyone, both from a safety standpoint as well as understanding the legal implications of these things, when people may want to contact an attorney and things of that nature. So I hope that was helpful to people. And if people have questions about that, feel free to leave a comment, or if you have a question about a particular case, just go down to the description and reach out to my office. I'll be happy to have a call with you.
Yeah, and if you liked watching this, you could always suggest to Craig and I different articles and different accidents to cover from a legal perspective. So thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Craig.
Until next time, everyone.
See ya.